Thanks, Hulk. And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. And speaking of joining us, don't forget about following us on Twitter. It's simple. It's at Talkin Boxing. That's TalkinBoxing. And if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, what the hell are you waiting for? Just go up to the channel, man. It's youtube.com/Talkin Boxing. TalkinBoxing. I want to give a shout out to ESPN New Hampshire. Glad you guys could join us today. And don't forget about my man Sal Cenicola and Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria. Check it out, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328. That's 912-268-2328. And don't forget, order a pizza. Tell him Billy C sent you, and tell him to throw in a cannoli on me, will you? Speaking of Sal Rocky Cenicola, joining me right now is the man himself. What's up, Sal?
Billy C, how are you, buddy? Good afternoon.
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. Real slow week last week in boxing, but I got a topic today that I'm talking about. I think is right up your alley. I started thinking. I was talking to Dax a little earlier, and we were talking about Roy Jones Jr. and he's fighting for some bogus title, and he's fighting a guy. He's fighting a bogus guy for a bogus title, and he's demanding to fight Glowacki, who just beat the snot out of Marco Huck. And, I started thinking to myself, Sal, and I'm saying, with the way the landscape is in boxing today, with so many titles, do we really need titles anymore? I mean, are there actually people that look and think that a title has value? I mean, I'm thinking that titles are losing their values when you have champions, when you have multiple champions in the same weight class, all claiming that they're champions, and nobody wants to fight anybody good. How the hell can they be called champions? What's going on with titles? Are we going to see a point where there are no titles? What's your thoughts?
Billy, I'll tell you, it's so frustrating, for an avid fan. And guess what? The pros themselves. I'm speaking. When I looked at the days when I was active, and I coveted WBA or WBC, and then sprang up in the middle of my career the IBF, which lent itself some credibility because you still had 3 world sanctioning bodies that were willing to roll the dice and unify a championship title amongst a weight class, and that was a great thing. And sure, you could have 1 or 2 organizations recognize their own champion. However, when you pull the trigger and you say, hey, let's have the unification of that title, let's let there be, like my buddy Boom Boom Mancini said, hey, guess what? Last time I checked, we only had 1 world. And you know what? Why not? Should there be a world championship, 1 world title? I mean, you know how much I wanted to come back into the boxing and everything else. I probably could have been positioned if my shoulder was okay. I probably could have been leveraged and gotten a title fight in one of these bubblegum titles that were out there. And would it have mean as much to me as the WBA or WBC or the IBF back then? No, because I know, look at it, the credibility of the boxing. Where's it going? They've got too many titles. They've got the Continental, they got the Euro, they got this, they got that, forget about it. There's 1 world, our world. If anybody could step in the ring and claim to be the champion, the reigning champion, the biggest ass kicker of that weight class, then damn it, let them wear that one and only belt.
No doubt. And the problem though, Sal, is that those organizations that used to have clout that you mentioned, like the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, those 4 major sanctioning bodies that we used to say, okay, there's 4 of them, at least, we'll have 1 good champ in each one. They have all sold out. Each one of those sanctioning bodies, with the exception of the WBO, I actually think that they've become the best, but each one has a super champ of some kind, a regular champ, an interim champ, a champion in recess, a champion in Muay. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You could be a middleweight in one sanctioning body and you could be one of 5 world champions in the same sanctioning body. Multiply that by 4, just with those 4 sanctioning bodies, and you could conceivably have 20 middleweights walking around saying that they're world champions. It's ridiculous. To me, it's simple supply and demand. If there was a pizzeria, right next door to your restaurant, all of a sudden pizza prices might go down. You know what I'm saying? It's supply and demand. It's the same thing with boxing, I think.
Well, it's so funny you say that because we have more and more pizzerias opening up on this island. Even since last time you were here, maybe 2 more popping up. But guess what? I'm still going to be a perfectionist. I'm striving to be the best. I know what my old family recipe is about, and I'm going to be the world champion of pizza. And I'm going to make sure because I want to do it better. I want to do it different, just like my style of fighting, just like when I'm in the ring. I conditioned myself. I had to make sure I was going to be, who was it? Vince Lombardi. Cowards make fatigue. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Man, even for this last fight I had, I did fartlek sprinting. I did intervals. I did training. And, Joseph, the trainer down here to help me twine up and spar and all that stuff. I said, he said, Sal, you're training like a 25-year-old. I said, damn it, Joseph, wait till I get in the ring. You'll see me fight like a 25-year-old. What do you think? I'm going to fight like a 53-year-old? Forget about it. And that's just it. The burn, the fire in the belly. Really, that's what's lost. That's what we got to have. And, that one champion. We should put a challenge out there for all these world sanctioning bodies that blossomed since Jose Solomon and Bob Arum and everybody else gave way. We should have the unification of each weight class and then see we can call a one universal champion. I don't care what you call it, but I want to recognize one champion per weight class. That's what I want.
Yeah, but listen, it's easy for us to say that. And I think that, if we asked boxing fans, at least a majority of them would agree. But the problem is you're not going to get a sanctioning body, whether it's the WBC, WBA, any of them, to all of a sudden say, you know what, Sal Cenicola, you're right. We're gonna unify this, and we're gonna have one champ. They're gonna be like, hey, Sal, we got to make a living. It's about the money, Sal. We don't care about who's the best champion as long as somebody's paying a sanction fee. And that's the bottom line. It's the fees. These guys aren't earning belts anymore, Sal. They're buying belts. They're buying belts. That's the bottom line.
They're buying
them. They're buying them. Back in the day, you were the number. We talked about this last time. You become a number 8 ranked middleweight in the world. You're a damn good fighter. You could walk around and say, "Hey, I'm number 8 in the world." That meant something. Today, nobody gives any value to those rankings by the sanctioning bodies. The only people that give it value is when the mandatory title shot comes in. And then you know what happens? We get some obscure guy that all of a sudden magically appears within that range that so-called champion can fight as a defense that the sanctioning body approves. Guys that we never heard of. Guys that all of a sudden appear in the top 12 so that it can be a sanctioned event. It's just smoke and mirrors, Sal.
I know. And what can we do? I mean, what can we do to force the hand that controls the game? And can we do it like remember back?
I can't hear you, Sal.
Okay, here we go. How's that? Better?
Yeah, you got to talk into the phone. What do you got? A flip phone? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? A rotary? What are you talking to us on a rotary phone? Come on, man. Come on.
I had the old rotary phone, and I was going to tell you, and I was just selling on eBay.
Yeah, you got to talk into the phone, man. What did you grow a beard?
Since I last talked to you, is this better?
Yeah, let's go. Don't move. Stay right there. Come on,
I'm not going to move. I'm staying right here.
We don't want to have to hang up on your ass. So come on. What were you saying?
It's so funny. I talked to Bobby Ches Monday night. And I have a picture of when Bobby Ches and we did a fundraiser together with a couple of other, with Ray Mercer and a couple of guys down in Florida. And we were all together. Don't you know, Bobby and I, we go way back from our amateur days together and going up to Canada and all over the world and all that. But we fought on a lot of early undercards together. But Bobby and I, we have a picture together in this Horseshoe Casino in Tampa, and we're proud. We have our arms around each other, sit down, and the two of us have flip phones, and we're showing them off, our two flip phones. I said, Bobby, isn't that right? Great minds think alike. Look at this. And that was it. So I still have my flip phone, Bill.
Yeah, well, I mean, they work good when you use them as a phone, but you just got to talk into the speaker. I don't know.
I'm doing that.
We got there's a fight this weekend, Sal. Shane Mosley against Ricardo Mayorga. Now, Shane Mosley in his prime, I was just saying earlier, in my opinion, was one of the better. He was a lightweight. He was a junior welter, junior middle. I mean, this guy in his prime was something to watch. He had it all. He had hand speed. He had power. He was exciting. I always looked forward to watching Shane Mosley, but he's been out of the game a couple of years, and he's fighting Ricardo Mayorga, who was just never was a great fighter. He was a world champion. He's just a rough and tumble kind of a guy, and Shane Mosley is promoting the event, and he's making it a pay-per-view with a really poor card. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, first of all, a guy that's hanging on. I mean, I know it's always hard to ask you this because, if you had the chance, you'd be back in the gym tomorrow. But, I mean, Shane Mosley's seen better days. Are some people that feel that, he's starting to show signs of slurred speech and stuff like that. And it's a pay-per-view. He's going up against a really good fight this weekend, Abner Mares and Leo Santa Cruz. What's your thoughts, man?
Sugar Shane Mosley, he was a good fighter, a real good fighter. And I enjoyed watching some of his fights years ago. And here he is. He's got his little monkey on his back like I did, and he's going to fund this and promote it and do the pay-per-view. I don't know, and I could be wrong, Bill, but I just don't know if there's going to be much excitement, especially because I think the same weekend there's another fight that's going to be a free per-view. And, so I wish Sugar Shane the best. I'm sure he'll look good. I'm sure he'll look pretty good. There's some skills you lose, but some skills you maintain, and I'm sure, if he's been in the gym pretty much all along and he's able to sustain a good level of movement in the ring, and he should fare pretty well, especially against my Mayorga or so. But I think it's going to be a grandstand event and showcase, and I just don't know how much excitement in return he's going to receive on the pay-per-view networks.
Well, I know one guy that's going to buy it, and that's a guy in the chat room right now, my man Joel. But I mean, he picked a bad weekend because on ESPN we have Leo Santa Cruz, the fight that you were referring to, Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares. That's been a matchup. Actually, they were both in a super bantamweight division. They're fighting at featherweight now, but that's a matchup that we've been waiting to see for a long time. It's been a fight that's been talked about, and that's on ESPN the same day, same time, and everything.
Right.
I just can't see somebody saying, what should I watch? Should I watch this great fight that is good on paper and has all kinds of significance between Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares, or pay $50 and watch, an old Shane Mosley who's a shell of himself against Ricardo Mayorga, who's a shell of himself, and a supporting card that's garbage. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, then, there's a good chance if you watch the fight, you're going to get shell-shocked. I'm teasing. It's a joke.
No, I know.
I think I wish Sugar Shane the best. I like Sugar Shane. I respect him. And he was a whirlwind of a champion, and he gave the people what they came to see, a good fight. And I think he's still capable of putting on a good show. But then again, at what cost? And the Mayorga gentleman, I'm sure he's going to go do what he's got to do. But I know Sugar should prevail. And the other fight, I'm going to watch both of them, Billy. How I'm going to do that, we'll see. But I think we'll have a couple things to talk about next week.
Oh, we definitely going to talk about if anything, you watch the Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares fight on ESPN, because we'll have a lot to talk about. One thing I did want to mention before we let you go, we're talking about too many title holders and the value of the belt going down. Well, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, a guy who clearly controlled the middleweight division in the 80s, and who's kind of turned his back on the sport of boxing. He only goes up to the Hall of Fame once a year, and you don't hear much about Hagler. He's actually living in Italy right now, but he was at the Hall of Fame the other day, and they took some shots of him in front of his displays, and I got to tell you, Marvin Hagler looks like he could get in the ring right now, Sal, and probably kick some butt in the middleweight division. He maintains being in good shape and stuff like that, like you do. Tell us about that, like as a former fighter, because some fighters let themselves get out of shape and they end up looking like me, and you could never tell that they were a fighter. But guys like yourself, and of course, if you see the photos I'm talking about with Marvelous Marvin Hagler, he's in great shape. What keeps guys in shape long after their career is over, and what makes guys get out of shape after their career is over?
A lot of it has to do with ego, and my ego, Hagler's ego. You're a fighter, you're a boxer, you're a professional, you're a champion, you're a wannabe champion. Whatever you may have, whatever is your makeup, there's a certain mold, a certain fire in the belly, a certain thing that you don't lose. It's like the old song by Simon and Garfunkel, the boxer. I'm just a poor man and my story seldom heard. In the clearing stands a fighter, a boxer and a fighter by his trade, and he carries a reminder. Well, a lot of fighters, they go one way or the other after they retire. But guys like Marvin Hagler, he's respected. He has a certain image he maintains. He knows and he perceives. He's a smart man, and he knows people are going to expect more from him because he was a whirlwind. He was a world beater, and he did a great job. And he never turned down any opponent. He sought out to fight the best. And my hat's always off to Marvin, and he keeps himself in great shape. Of course, I hear he was doing a lot of movies in Italy too, so he's got a lot to keep in shape and a lot of incentive there. But and myself too, I like to always keep in shape because I never know when that phone's going to ring, and I might jump back in the ring for 6 months.
No.
But bottom line is, there are a lot of fighters, that do keep themselves in fairly good shape because again, they have egos, they have a certain mindset that they still see themselves as champions. They don't want to let themselves go. They perceive, they go through a stage, and even it's like the incentive reward. I go 30 pounds one way or the other when I was trying to get down to lightweight, and then after a good fight and I won, boom, I packed on the weight because I'd want to eat the ice cream, I want to eat the pizza, I want to eat things that I denied myself for so long to maintain the weight. Roberto Duran was famous for that. And but certain fighters just tend to let themselves go, and they go beyond the point of no return. Where you look at another crop, they still have egos, they still want to maintain an image, and they still know maybe they're going to be in a public's eye, or maybe they're not, but they're going to be recognized, and they're either going to be recognized for who they were or what they've become. And it's a funny, humbling experience. But I know I'm going to maintain myself in good shape. I'm back on the Bowflex. I'm running a little bit every day, and it's part of my makeup, my character, who I perceive and who I am inside. I want to always be in good shape, and it's a lifestyle. It's a choice of your lifestyle. Like boxing's a lifestyle. You got to get your rest. You got to eat your diet. You got to spar. You got to work out. Do your due diligence, and you never success to have anything less than the best. And you do your best you can.
No, great point. Plus, when we do your book, you're going to get some shots of you. You got to look good, because when we put the old photos in, you can't look, that different, right?
Well, it's so funny, Billy. When I made my comeback fight just 2 years ago, I lost 30 pounds, and I people see the pictures before and after, and John on that videotape spliced together a really deep image on video on the disc where it shows my victory, my hands being raised at either at the San Stefano Tropicana, and then he mirrored it with my hands being raised and it's very similar. But you still see my six pack, you still see the muscle tone and everything else. Because again, I knew this is who I was and who I'm going to be, and that's how I carry myself. And it's just chiseling up. It's just watching what you eat and living a lifestyle, living a good lifestyle, and having a balance in your life, and not letting yourself go down any path that's going to be detrimental to your health. And that's it too. I want to live a long life. I plan on doing 100 push-ups on my 100th birthday, and I still plan on being around a long time. So, that prize is worth the price of trying to maintain myself and keep in good shape. But I also do want to get back to that recap of the unification of the titles and things like that before I go. I don't know if there's anything we can do as a public outcry to demand some type of tournament, some type of unification process. I mean, before I got cut off with my phone going muffled, we were talking, and whether we could do this or not, it's going to be something that the promoters, the managers, and people are going to have egos. I don't want to share my title with somebody else. I want to beat them up and show I'm the reigning champ.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And when they raised your hand after that second fight, I could have sworn I heard you going, my shoulder. Be careful with that. Be careful. But hey, before we let you go, I got a question. They're bugging me in the chat room. What's the most popular pizza you sell at the restaurant? You think they would ask you a boxing question. They want to know what the popular pizza. When I go there, I like the plain. I'm a plain guy, but he's got everything. But what's the biggest seller for you, man?
I have some good signature pizzas that I actually developed, and I just made a new one called the Vegetable Deluxe. So we got everything on there, eggplant, everything. But you know what? One of my simple pizzas that I love and I make, it has one of the best tastes. And my family back in Naples, Italy, still makes the very same pie. In fact, I got that recipe from them too. It's a simple, I call it the Napolitano. What I do is I use a nice fresh mozzarella, not the shredded, but the fresh mozzarella. I use some Roma tomatoes, a little bit of Margherita seasoning, some capers for saltiness, and we bake that baby right on a brick, and it's the Napolitano, and it's so nice, light and airy. It's almost like eating Chinese food. You're hungry in an hour. Not really. But it's a beautiful pie. It's one of our top sellers, along with the Margherita. And the Margherita pizza, that comes along with the story. It's not about a drink in Mexico. The Margherita pizza is the one we do with Queen Margherita, who in the late 1800s in Italy, when Italy was still a monarchy, forming into a state. You had the inventor of pizza in Naples. His name was Raffaello Esposito, as we say in America, but in Italian it's actually Esposito. And he invented pizza, and the Queen heard about the invention of pizza. She ran right down to Naples, Italy, and he baked her a pie, and she tasted the pizza, and it was the most delicioso pizza she ever tasted. He said that's the only pizza she ever tasted. But the bottom line is, after the popularity of that pizza went through the words and the towns and the streets of Italy, it became known as the Pizza Margherita. And that is probably one of our best sellers, the Pizza Margherita.
Yeah, I love. I just listen. Hopefully, I'll be coming down soon, and just put one of each aside for me, because you got it. You know what I do. I just sit there in the corner and just pig out. I mean, and that's what I'll be doing. But and there's so many other good things to eat aside from pizza at Sal's. So they can check out the website, Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria, and drool on all the pictures are up there. So, hey, Sal.
Absolutely. We're gonna be working on the website, too. I'm going to be doing some changes on that over the next couple of weeks, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, enjoy the fight this weekend, because it's going to be a good one. There's going to actually be 3 on ESPN all the same night, so make sure you check those out, and we'll be chatting about that next week, brother.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. As always, I want to say hello to all your fans and all your followers and out there. And I'm going to probably sign on to that chat room very shortly and just see what I could look at on the computer. But I want to say thank you for everybody and for listening and giving me the opportunity to talk about the sport that I love and endear so much. It's so close to my heart.
Yeah, you can go into the chat room. They're all talking about pizza right now. So it's up on BillyCBoxing.com. Go into the chat room and give them your thoughts.
All right, buddy. I sure will. Listen, you take care of yourself, and thank you so much.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right. That's Sal, Rocky, Cenicola. And he's going to try to get himself into the chat room right now. And remember, he's got a flip phone. So what's the chances of him getting in the chat room, right? But anyway, don't forget, 912-268-2328 is the number to Sal's neighborhood pizzeria restaurante, the best Italian food that you can find, really, around. Check it out. You can look at the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com.